Hello and welcome to Strategic Communication and Social Media Branding. Um, Most of the modules are going to contain a lecture. Some may contain more than one because I don't want to make my lectures so long that you fall forward and start drooling on your keyboard. But anyhow, so let's get this lecture going. I'm Professor Marsh, and if you want to know more about me, there's a link to a video done by me about me in this module. Possibly also in the important information module. I teach this class. I also teach digital editing and design, which is PUR 40101, and I teach two graduate classes, one on social media metrics and the other on digital storytelling. You are, of course, a student taking an online class, and I'm going to harp on this online class thing periodically throughout this class. And I'm doing that because not only do I want you to do well, to succeed in this class, I want you to get everything out of this class that you can, because I believe that the concept and skills that we're teaching here, that I'm teaching here, are important to your professional future. So to get a lot out of an online class, you have to devote the same amount of time to it that you would in a face-to-face class. So we start off with the 3 contact hours, right? That's how many hours you should be sitting in front of me if we were face to face, which would be 3. Okay. And then you also have the work that I would ask you to do at home, which is also about 3 hours per week, probably a little bit more. So keep that in mind when you're going through the class. We're talking this class should take at least 6 hours per week. So when I talk about what I teach, I call it strategic communication. And I do that because social media, at least I think social media, has to be considered in the context of both marketing and public relations and advertising. Both marketing and advertising and public relations fit under the term strategic communication. Now, I'm not a marketing professor, but I have worked in and studied digital marketing, and social media is a significant part of digital marketing. And I just can't talk about social without talking about marketing. So I give my apologies to the College of Business Administration, and we'll just keep this between you and I, right? Um, but I know that most of you are public relations and advertising majors. And so it is also important that you understand where social media fits into specifically those careers. And basically, that comes down to the concept of branding. And what is branding? David Ogilvy called branding the intangible sum of a product's attributes. Right? Think about that for a second. But I like this one better. Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon.com, said, "Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room." So that's the, collection of your attributes. But it also takes into consideration that it is also people's opinion, how they see it. You can, maintain what your brand is, right? But if people don't see that, then you have a problem. For instance, let's talk just briefly about one of my favorite superstars of public relation last year, United Airlines. United Airlines probably thinks of itself as a caring, likable, reliable airline to travel on, right? However, most people, after watching the videos and the other incredibly crappy news and the really poor way they handled it, think, wow, United's kind of a bunch of, and here I'm going to censor myself just a little bit, but you get the idea. So in that case, we have sort of a split. The brand that is really out there is not necessarily what they think their brand is. Now let's think about social media in the context of branding. Why do people use social media? Well, the most important reason is they use it to connect. They use it to engage with other people. And remember that word engage because it's going to show up again later in the class. But when you're using social media to engage other people, to engage your friends, your family, and people who have similar tastes and interests, you are doing something that is hugely popular. If you want to get a sense of how much time people spend on the web using social media, there's an infographic which is linked to this module. Actually, it's in this module, I guess is a good way to say it. Underneath that's a great article about Facebook and the amount of time people spend on Facebook. And Facebook is a company that, in my humble opinion, is trying to take over the world. But the bottom line is that social media is the most popular thing to do on the web. So who uses social? The answer to that is everyone. Everyone uses social media, even old people, because sometimes we think old people don't, but trust me, they do. I've linked the Pew Center report on social media use from 2015 is in the module, and you can take a look at it, right? You see here the top 3 social media outlets in 2015. I want you to just think about the fact that Facebook has 3/4 of the adult internet users and well more than half of the entire adult population of the United States. That is a staggering number of people who use it. I also want you to think about the fact that in 2015, right? Well, since 2015, Facebook has bought Instagram. So they now have both of those portals, right? And remember that I'm the person who said Facebook is trying to take over the world. It's also important to talk about what social media is. The essence of social media is connecting. It's talking to other people. It's building relationships. It's about a two-way conversation. So you know you can exchange things, and you can exchange things quickly in an almost real-time manner. And it's also about sharing. It's about sharing pictures. It's about sharing thoughts. It's about sharing, God help us, memes. It's about sharing wonderful cat videos. It's about sharing, connecting, two-way conversation, and sharing. Of which the most important one of those is connecting, right? Because you can't do the others unless you're connected. So this is important for brand because it creates a connection between the brand and consumer that is just like a connection between two people. It's like the 19th century, only better. In the 19th century, you went to the general store to buy your stuff, right? In town. You took a pickle out of the pickle barrel and you sidled up to the proprietor and you chatted. And you chatted about whatever was important to you, the weather, the crops, and also the things that you wanted so that he or she could stock those so that when you needed them, you would come back and get the thing that you needed from her or him. And that created a relationship. That created a connection. And that's what social is good at. It creates a relationship. It forges that connection. And it forces the brand to listen to your consumers, which brands are not always really good at. Because just like the general store owner, they need to listen to what their consumers want if they're going to have the thing that the consumers want to buy from them. It also humanizes a brand because when you're listening and when you're responding and then when there's that two-way conversation going and you're sharing stuff, a brand becomes more approachable and the brand becomes essentially more human. So why connect to people if you're a brand? Why is connecting, creating a relationship so important? Well, first answer the question, who can consumers buy from in this globally connected age? And the answer that I'm sure you're thinking of is anyone. I can buy stuff from China. I can buy things from the UK. I can buy things from Europe. There are no boundaries. Unlike the general store owner, right, who had an advantage because the chances were that you would only shop there. Because to shop anywhere else meant going miles out of your way. But now we can shop anywhere we want to. So if I want people to shop with me, I need to offer them something. There needs to be a reason, right? And the second question we're looking at is, why do consumers go on the web? And I want you to think about that for a minute. Do 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 do. And hopefully the answer that you're just about to shout out is that consumers go on the web for information, right? When I'm shopping, I go to the web so I can find out which one has the best rating, how much it should cost, and can I find this locally or do I need to get this online? What do people like me have to say about it? I'm going to the web for information. So that brings us to the third point. Imagine the synergy if you can give your customers the information that they need. If you can reach out to them and give them that information, they are quite possibly going to buy for you. But in order to do that, you have to know that they're interested and they have to know about you, right? And to do that, you need to be engaged in a conversation already. You need to be connected. And to be connected, the way you're probably going to want to do that is social media. So why do you want to connect? Why do you need a relationship? Well, I'm sure you've seen these statistics from the Nielsen Global Trust in Advertising. That was a report from 2015. And even if you have, I'm going to ask you to read the actual report, which is in the module. But the bottom line here is that people trust other people. They certainly don't trust advertising. They trust people and a branded website. And social allows a brand to interact much like a person and then drive their potential customer to their branded website. I consider social to be invaluable, sort of a must-have, right? For almost any sized company. I suppose really small might need it, but it's something to always think about as an option that you should be considering. And I do want to say just a little bit about the social consumer. Because the brilliance of social branding and social marketing is that you can amplify your voice with the voices of real people, right? Here we see the evolution of a social customer and Squirtle. Squirtle is, in my opinion, the cutest Pokemon. Anyhow, the ideal journey for your customer is to be exposed to your brand, right? That's reach, well, exposure. We're going to call it exposure because that's what it is in the slide, right? And social is great at exposure. Then they become a customer. And because your product is awesome and they are happy with it, they decide to endorse you, perhaps at your request, with a review, or just say good things about you in general on their, Facebook feed, Twitter feed, to their friends that they meet every once in a while, right? And then a few are going to be absolutely crazy about your product. And they will sing your praises to everyone they know, and they will post about it all the time, and they will follow you, and they will wait for every evolution and every change that you make, and they will reach out on social and talk to people on a large scale, and they are your evangelists, and this is a beautiful evolution. Of course, I have some warnings for you because it's not all smooth sailing. There's some things you need to remember about social media. The first is that people are not on social media to sell your products. Why are they there? They're there to connect, usually with other people, sometimes with products, but usually with other people. People are not on social media to pimp your brand, right? They may end up doing that, but that's not why they're there. And if that's the only thing you are asking them or you're offering them as that opportunity, you're not going to be very popular. People are on social media to connect with other people and find cat memes because cat memes are the best, and cat videos, right? So hold this thought, right? You can't just expect people to sell your stuff and to talk about you if you're not offering them some other things, some reasons to engage with you if you're not an engageable brand. So anyhow, that's it for this slideshow. And if you have questions, please put them up on the discussion board. If you see questions up on the discussion board, there is a bounty for other students who answer them first. I will swoop in and answer them on Saturday, probably. But if you answer it before I answer it, right, you get some points, some extra credit points. Yay! So I encourage you to do that. If you ask particularly insightful questions, I might give you a point or two as well because I want to encourage discussion. I think that's pretty important. Anyhow, so continue on, read all your stuff, do the discussion, do your assignment, and I'll talk to you again amazingly soon.